Hi, John Barley from Rite Track New Zealand Limited. Are we on the right track to understand the culture of safety within business? Today we're going to be talking to Heinrich Havman to look at culture of safety. Background is from the military, spending some of his time with a paratroopers regiment in Africa. So what we want to do is we want to explore how the military perspective of safety is automatically built into the culture of the military regiments for the overall safety of their people. So Heinrich is currently working for Auckland City Council, but he's just informed me that he's going to be leaving there shortly and starting up a new career. So we're going to explore that as well and find out how and what he's going to be doing, and maybe he could be of benefit to you going forward. So we'll also find out how you can contact him in the future. So Heinrich, how are you?
Thanks, John. I'm pretty good, thank you.
Good. And you're handling the COVID-19 shutdown quite well?
I think it's a challenge at best for everyone, really, John. I do think I think we all cope okay. I do think there's challenges, but all in all, yeah, handling it okay.
Okay, cool. So Heinrich, many months ago, would it be about 6-7 months ago?
Yeah, maybe. I guess beginning of the year. Yep.
Yeah, and how things have changed since then, dramatically. So
That's right.
when we spoke, you dropped me into your world of the military and the paratroopers, and the thing that's really gained my attention is the fact that with the military, being a paratrooper, safety was not really discussed. It was just part of the drill to make certain that you guys would be dropped behind enemy lines, but the probability of you landing safely and able to do the job was actually critical to the success of the operation. So can you just go through how they actually instilled that safety mentality into your minds in your training?
Yeah, that's right, John. It's actually quite weird, really. Well, the word health and safety never once came up ever in my military career, and I've spent just under 10 years in a defense force, and I didn't really realize then that health and safety is a thing. I remotely heard about the profession of health and safety and so on, but it only struck me when I left and when I started working as a career professional, health and safety professional, that what we actually did in the defense force was actually really health and safety stuff. So in the paratroopers, now you can appreciate that it's possibly one of the most demanding and it can be quite dangerous and hazardous as well. So to safely deliver a load of paratroopers. Now you can imagine if you are a military planner, you plan for operation and you depend on, say an aircraft can take 64 paratroopers, and I think a C-130 can. You plan your operation around safely delivering 64 paratroopers on the ground, isn't it? So the last thing that you want to see is them getting injured.
Yeah.
Because not only can you not engage them and not get a job done, you also have to, get a CASEVAC in to tend to the wounded or injured, really, from jumping. So from day one in the paratroopers, I remember arriving at 44 Parachute Regiment, and there was just something different to the place. You know, the way that the paratroopers conducted themselves, the smartness of their uniform, everything was just telling me, you know, this is disciplined soldiers. They didn't, you know, walk from one place to another. They quick marched, you know, and we arrived there on over a weekend, and it was quite relaxed. But on the Monday morning, when we started with our selection course, so we were roughly about 600 paratroopers at the time, or candidates rather, let me put it that way, candidates to go onto this to become paratroopers. We were very fit, extremely fit at the time, having already prepared for a year for this parachute selection course that we went on, and for the next 72 hours. And the reason why we did 72 hours is because operation in the airborne is roughly planned around 3 days that you have to be able to sustain yourself.
Okay.
So the selection course was 72 hours as well. For the selection, we call it PT course or physical training course. And we started on the Monday morning early. And I would say halfway through the morning, roughly about 50% of all the candidates have already, you know, dropped off. So that were all the, I guess, people who were not prepared, kind of mental and physical, very demanding on mentally, but also more demanding on the body for for the next 2.5 days or so, with very little sleep and rest. By achieving that selection thing, I think that you're in a mindset of, you know, we are elite, and that you've been chosen, all right. But I think that is a bit of a it bolts onto the culture, right? And then shortly after passing the selection course, we started our parachute training. And from day one, from the very first moment that we were shown a parachute, we were told how important it is to look after your equipment, to look after your mates. And what struck me really was the leadership, and the leadership of the parachute regiment, how involved the parachute instructors had been from day one. Since you've passed your selection and you are going to be a paratrooper, they've taken this seriously, and they valued you as a person. So it wasn't a case of your number, you're an individual, and they were looking after us, you know, looking at what we ate, so ensure that we got good meals, looked after, but still very demanding. You know, they expected the best from you. I remember the colonel. He had a paratrooper with a parachute on his back, and he pulled out a parachute from the bag, and he explained to us the whole sequence of when you exit the aircraft, what to expect. And also we then had a demonstration inside the parachute training hangar, with a paratrooper demonstrating what it looks like to jump out of the aircraft, and also what a landing would look like. And we were also then being taken to the parachute packers building, where we were shown by the packers how the parachutes are packed. And what struck me is that none of these packers would jump with the parachutes, but what on the wall they had like their motto that was saying, I would pack each parachute as if my own life depends on it. I remember that crystal clear, and what an impact that made on me. And when we started with our training, it just became so important for us to pay attention of what we are doing. It was the drills of looking, you know, to inspect your team members' parachute prior to a jump. So that was just a drill. You were looking out for each other. It was just part of our DNA, the way that we did it. Our parachute instructors did the same. So although we already checked our mates' parachutes, the parachute instructors will also check it. And the same when we're in the aircraft, the dispatchers will do a last check, right? And we will start counting off from the back of the parachute stick, checking the man in front of you again, ensuring that your equipment is okay. And yeah, so then we jump. And as soon as you exit the aircraft, the training just kicks in. So it just comes naturally. Safe landing, and you get debriefed. So that debrief after that first jump, very important. And that whole sequence of inducting people into what's expected from them, inducting them of how to undertaking it safely, executing the work, and then the debrief afterwards. If you think about it, that is the process of safety, isn't it? So inducting the workers, give them a good SOP of how to undertake the work safely, and then debrief afterwards. So strong points, weak points, and a jumper. So I remember my parachute helmet had a number on Charlie 3 on front of my helmet. And what a parachute instructor did, he actually marked each of us as we descended, and he would talk you through your jump and say, listen, you did this wrong, or excellent, you need natural, and the good points and the weak points that you demonstrated were communicated to you. And that communication bit for me then became so important, that the feedback that you give. And after doing that for another 2 weeks before we actually really started jumping in earnest, when we finished the course, you can appreciate at the end of the day, only 96 of us qualified as paratroopers from that 600 that started.
Whoa.
But I think I've roughly worked out over 3,000 jumps that we would have done as a course. And I can't remember any serious incidents or accidents. Also on the selection course, and on the selection course, we were really taken through our paces, and the things that we did, carrying heavy poles and pieces of tires and stuff. None of us were injured. So the preparation bit for me was crucial. Looking back at it today and understanding from a health and safety perspective, and finishing that, the only person ever. So just coming back to the sequence, prior to a jump, the pilots would meet up at a drop zone, the DZ, with the parachute instructors, and they will do an inspection of the aircraft. They will ensure that the aircraft is ready for jumping, and taping the door with I don't know what they call it, but it's tape that protects the aircraft, and ensuring that everything is in working condition. And that whole machine, that everybody is playing a part. So that's not only the jumper, it's the man next to you, it's the packer in the building, even the chef in the kitchen that's preparing your meal. Everybody plays a part to ensure that this machine works well oiled. And well, look, accidents do happen, but in an organization that has that installed safety culture, the way that the paratroopers has it doesn't happen that often. It is a anomaly when it does, and it's a real accident. It is being, so it's part of the DNA. And what's really interesting is that, like I said, there's nobody with a title health and safety manager or health and safety person, or that guy's that safety person is responsible for the safety. We are responsible for the safety. The only person in that whole regiment that has a title safety is the DZ safety officer. And the role of the safety officer is to ensure that the aircraft is cleared for drop sequence. And that's the only person that is actually tasked with the safety component, and given the title. The rest is just your job, but your job is to do it safely.
One of the, you've mentioned so much stuff in there, and the first question that comes to mind is the first 72 hours. Is that 72 consecutive hours without a break other than lunchtime, dinner time, and going and having a pee?
Yeah, so I can actually quite surprise you there, because there wouldn't be a supper or dinner time. You've been given a ration pack, one ration pack, and that ration pack is supposed to sustain a normal soldier for roughly 12 hours. So that ration pack take you through the whole 72 hours, and you are free to use it as you like. A lot of the candidates eat it all in the first 12 hours.
Oh no.
Those who were smart would keep it for the last day when you really need it. And yes, absolutely right, John. So 72 hours, no sleep.
Wow.
While saying that, you will obviously get 5 minutes shut eye here and there where you steal it. But no, you don't see a bed, and you for sure don't see, we're going to break for an hour or so to give you some rest time. Nothing. It's 72 hours consecutive.
Yeah, because one of the other things that is going through my mind is, out of 600, was it 600 inductees, only 72 or 69 or 72 actually
96
came out the other end. If you were to say that to a business owner and say, we don't expect you to only have 69. We want you to have the full 600 to come through this induction, which we're going to put into the business, which will actually permit them to fully grasp this idea of safety within the workplace. Many business owners would actually go, well, that ain't going to happen, because we've got Billy here who's half asleep all the time. So how would you promote the idea of having an induction of their people into safe working environment, noting that possibly 70% of them are going to either be absolutely useless, or and the remainder will be sitting on the fence and could sway either way? What sort of systems would you give to a business owner to get his people to really understand that safety is actually part of the business culture, but it's also part of the flow of the production of the product and or services?
Yeah, you're right, John. It's quite difficult to look at it from a military perspective lens. I'm going to use the same analogy that we did. So my unit that I actually came from to the parachute regiment to do my jump course, we actually had 100% pass rate. So all of us that did a course completed it from my unit, and the same from various other units that were doing this course, right? So what I'm saying is, those who actually dropped out were those that didn't prepare. They were taking chances. I almost wanted to say, thinking that it would be easy, rock up there without the preparation that's been needed to be put in. So put it in a business perspective like this. You can get all your workers through an induction process. You can get 100% pass rate if you prepare them. And to your point of, how do you do that? And that's motivation. Why are we doing it? And that is because we want all of us to go home at the end of the day. So you need to put in the hard yards to reap the benefits. So you don't want to weed out people, and that's what I'm saying. In terms of selection, you don't want people to not pass it. You want all of them to make it, but you don't want people there who are going to be a liability to the organization. And that is to motivate. Yeah, I think motivate people in the right way. Then you'll get 100% pass rate, like we did in our unit, in my unit, and all of us passed because we put in the hard yards.
I'm very interested in the subject of purpose within a business. What is the purpose of a business? What is the purpose of an individual within that business? What is the soul of the business? And I know that sounds a bit strange on the subject that we're talking about, but the question that comes into my mind is, your paratroop regiment would have had a motto, right? So, and that motto would have been ingrained into you and part of your belief system. But did it also drive your sense of purpose in understanding the necessity of having safety within the regiment?
Yes, absolutely. So, and that is where leadership comes in, right? So I've mentioned the vision. Now, no business, unless you have a health and safety consultancy, I guess, or if you are, in a business of health and safety, no business has the business to do safety, right? A business is there to make money. Business is not, people don't come to work to come and do safety. They come to work to do their work, right? So like I said, we were there to jump, right? That's what we were there for. We were there for parachuting, right? The colonel told us that from day one. That's why we are there. We're going to walk away there with parachute wings on our chests. That's going to be the reward for us. Obviously, the reward for them is going to be something else. But we can only do that if we are safe. Yep. So that vision of all of us are going to walk away with a parachute wing on our chest, and we're going to do that safely, is the vision. And I think that is where the CEO of the organization is so important, to bring people on that journey of saying, well, we are here for a business, but we are also here to look after each other. We don't want any of our mates to go injured. That is the journey that you want to take your workforce on. Is let's do this thing, let's do this safely. We are here to do our jobs, but let's do it safely.
So, what was your regiment? What was your regimental motto?
So it's ex alto vincimus.
Okay, so what is that?
Yeah, so roughly means strike from above.
Okay, cool. So what did that mean to your sense of purpose and feeling of being part of that regiment and being, I suppose, connected with the leadership of that regiment?
Yeah, I think a better way to actually say it, because it will have more meaning to me, is my unit. My unit's motto had been Audacisimus Servamus, which is the Latin for serving the bravest. So something that I haven't said or I didn't mention is the unit that I actually had been in was a Special Forces medical unit. So we were looking after Special Forces from a medical perspective. And hence the reason why we parachuted, so we could jump with Special Forces. So our motto were serving the bravest. And that is where my connection comes from. That is my why. You know, and that is why I became a medic, is because I care, right? I care, and the bravest in that context is the Special Forces operator, and my role were to support him from a medical perspective, right?
Yeah.
So from a unit perspective, that was our why, and that's where the connection comes from.
That is so powerful, just that, and it's that's an amazing sort of connection to it. So a business leader, a person with a vision, should also have a company motto which people can actually buy into, but they understand and they believe it and they grab it in their heart.
That's right. You're absolutely right. So to come back to a health and safety management system, and from advisory work or consultancy work, and that is something that I always try to do when I design a health and safety management system. When looking at the commitment statement, what I'm trying to do is I'm taking the business values, the wider context. So for example, in community facilities where I'm from, where I working now at Auckland Council, our motto is to build great places Aucklanders love. How do we do that? So we are looking after all the open spaces and facilities and assets in the whole of Auckland, to bring that together, right? So to bring the health and safety perspective into our vision. So when we develop, for example, our commitment statement, we have to look at that context. What do we do, and how do we do that safely? So we brought the two together to create our vision and mission statement from our health and safety perspective. So we want to do all that, looking at all those great places that Aucklanders love, but we want to do it safely by looking after ourselves, looking after our contractors, and also everybody that we engage with and who are affected by our operations. And we've worked that into one statement. And I think that is what you're talking about, John, isn't it? How do you bring that two together? The vision of the organization, and what does that mean from a culture perspective? So to embed that health and safety DNA into the business. And that's what we did in the paratroopers, and that's what we're doing now.
Do you mind if I explore that a little bit more?
Hey, welcome.
When you talk to me about your regimental motto and what you did, which served your purpose, I'm not a paratrooper, okay, but something happened in my heart that I knew had real value, okay, and I immediately connected with it. Something in my soul just said, there's gravity to what has been said. But the Auckland City Council motto is just, I don't know, a pile of words stuck together which defines what they do, but it doesn't actually serve a purpose. Would you agree with that?
I think it serves a purpose, for sure. I think it serves a purpose for the people who work in community facilities, the why, the purpose of doing something for for Aucklanders. I think so. I think it resonates with the people who work there for sure, John.
Does it connect though with their responsibility by health and safety?
It does. It does connect for sure. We cannot deliver that safely if we don't. We can't deliver that if we don't do it safely. For sure not. We cannot. I mean, you're talking about, you know, hundreds of thousands of people who are affected by our operations, and the moral obligation of, you know, ensuring that you do everything that's reasonable, practicable, to deliver that safely. That resonates with the workforce.
Do you think Auckland City Council do a real good job in communicating that thought, that sense of purpose to their people?
I think so. Yep. I think that communication. Look, it look like anything. There's always room for improvement, continual improvement. But that communication is foremost. I think that is what we are really working really hard at, front of mind. And I think people are connecting. I think they are getting that, you know, connecting the dots for sure. I would want to believe that.
Okay, so the induction process for an ordinary organization, what do you believe is necessary for that induction course, and how can a business owner prepare to have a comprehensive induction course?
Yeah. So I think what you're referring to is the walk the talk, and I think the induction starts, like I said, the moment that you walk into that door. Back in the parachute regiment, the moment I walked into those gates, you know, I could sense it's different, it's special. I could sense the urgency, and I could sense also the safety. I absolutely could. That is important when you walk into a workplace, that health and safety is visible from day one. There's no way that you can instill a safety culture by just doing induction course. The induction course is part of it, but it's not. We do business, we do induction, and then we safe. No, it needs to be visible. The business leader, the senior leaders in a business, and the workers need to live the values, the company values. So if the company values are set in safety, they need to live that. And that is the walk the talk. And I'm struggling to what is the saying? I'll get back to that in a moment. But anyway, so there's a very nice saying, but it's, yeah, walking the talk, and that is very visible. If you arrive at a new workplace, and let's use the analogy of the parachute regiment. I just take a parachute, you know, go to the airfield, do a 5-minute introduction course, and let's go jump. There's no way in hell I will get out of that aircraft. Unfortunately, that happens in many workplaces. You get given the set of tools. Let me show you quickly how to do it, or actually even better, look how I do it, and then you go do it. You know, people unfortunately are put in those positions. They are put in situations where that happens to them, and that is unfortunately where we see the accidents happen. Accidents happen. Surprisingly, it's going to happen on the first day. Those who are not injured are lucky, and they get away with it for a long time, and then they will get injured later on. But it's so. Sorry, John.
Have you got any stats on that?
I've seen it. I will get back to you. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. I think it would be quite important to just revisit the stats, but it's quite surprising I've seen it from ACC. I'm just trying to get my head around it, but they're talking about the vulnerable age groups. It is the worker that's not inducted, the worker, they're vulnerable, and then the very skilled worker that's been in the profession for many, many years. And they're always also always the workers that say, look, I still have all 10 of my fingers. Until tomorrow, I may have 9. Because they get complacent, isn't it? So that's the thing. Is that the induction process is absolutely important to get it right from day one.
So when when you go into business premises and you walk into it, and you just know whether this business is going to be up to standard or not just by looking at the environment. Would that be right?
I think that is a fair comment, really. So I worked as a consultant for a number of years as well, where I would have gone around doing exactly that. And surprisingly, you know, as soon as you walk through those doors, if reception is you know, you are there for audit, and the receptionists are going to take you through the company management system, that tells you a lot of the you know, the mentality of the organization. You can also very quickly see that brand new PPE had been bought that morning or the day before, and the signage is all brand new, but it doesn't line up with the practices and processes that you see. You know what I'm saying? That's window dressing. And you see that quite a lot in businesses when you work as a consultant doing you know, advisory work or auditing work. It's very quickly to pick that up. But you also see in the behavior of how people work, you pick it up in the body language that they are, you know. So, and there's also a lot of visible cues, the way that people will handle the equipment, the tools. You can see somebody knows, you know, they're looking after it, that the tools are well kept, the tools are, you know, tagged, as an example. That's all telltale signs. And the same in the paratroopers. Those parachutes, you can see those parachutes are being used a lot, but you can see they've been looked after and well kept. That's a telltale sign. And the same with your PPE, so your jump gear, your helmet. You can just see the way that the helmet is being fastened, that it's a professional that's using it. The clips, for example, in a parachute helmet is different. It's not a plastic clip. It's a metal clip, so it won't come off while you're jumping. That tells you it's a professional outfit, isn't it? And you will see that in a workplace as well. For example, if people work on electricity, the tools and equipment that I use will tell you that, you know, they are different, working in a different environment. And that's what you want to see as an observer. You want to see if what they are using is, you know, in line with best practices, and you'll quickly pick up if it's not, or if it's the wrong harness that they are using, or the harness has never been inspected. So it's, you know, working at height, you quickly see that the harness that a worker is wearing is just a compliance harness, but it will not actually do any good when it's a fall, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So you see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So can let's turn put you in the shoes of a consumer, okay? And you're going to one supplier, you're looking at you want to buy a certain product, okay, and you choose 3 suppliers. With your mentality, and it's a healthy mentality, and it's a disciplined mentality, would you, in choosing those 3 suppliers, would you focus more on the price, or would you focus more on their their culture, their presentation, their standard of work within that place. So, yeah, which one would you choose?
Yeah, so that's actually a very good point, John. Of course, you of course you want to get the most. So what I would like, I think the way to look at it is the way they work for sure. You want to see the similar visions and views and standards that you are operating in. For example, when I worked in the Middle East, the we tried to set the same standards for our supplier than we would for our own people.
Mm-hmm.
So you quite often see that organizations go in for the lowest bidder. The problem with that is that the values do not align. And if you want to say we are providing the best for our people, then for sure you can't do that by allowing substandard work practices for your supplier. And you see that, unfortunately, in the developing world, you see that all the time, is that first of all, organizations go to a developing country and turning a blind eye to the practices of the developing country supplier. Mm. Now that is where leadership comes in, because a reputable first world country has actually obligation as a leading in leadership to set a benchmark. Yeah. So if you want to do business with me, you need to have the same. And I think that is where the education bit comes in. So it's hard to do, but I think an organization has a responsibility, obligation, a moral obligation, if you want to ensure that there's alignment. And if it requires education, then so be it. You know, put in additional resource to upskill the workforce from the supply chain, if need be.
Would you, as an employer, would you prefer to employ somebody from military services compared to somebody who hasn't had military services, purely and simply because of that discipline in values and culture?
It's a very difficult question because the bias thing comes in there. No, I won't. You would want to. You would. Just because you have been in the military doesn't mean you are going to be disciplined to bring that into the workplace. Okay. For sure, you could expect that, but that's not a fail-safe way. No, it's still the individual's choice of bringing that into the workplace, especially after the military. Look, there are a lot of outfits who do just that, and it works for them. It's a specific culture that works for some industries. It will not work in all industries. I think there's merit and value in having a diverse workforce. Culture fit is something that's very hard to try and ascertain during the hiring process. I think at the end of the day, it gets developed in the workplace.
Yeah, I must admit, I've known some military people in my past, and the culture that you were defining with the paratroop regiment is very much the same as a guy that I knew who was from the Coldstream Guards in the UK.
I'm not sure. Sounds.
Is it Coldstream Guards? And this guy was absolutely meticulous in everything that he did, to the point that he was a control nut. He actually had all his pencils on his desk lined up. And when he came in and he took his jacket off, it was put on to the hanger. So everything was lined up. And all the work that he did, which was actually in the insurance industry, everything was neat and tidy and pristine, and it was just a mindset. But anyway, we got to move on. So where are you off to?
So I'm starting about a week's time for Horizon Energy Group. So that is pretty much a national role. So I'll be a safety, health, and environmental and quality manager for them. So that's, yeah.
Okay. So are you sorry?
No. So just what I wanted to say is a national role that I'm moving into.
Cool. Well, that sounds kind of exciting for you. So can people still contact you, Heinrich, and ask for your input and assistance on challenges that they have in health and safety within their workplace?
Well, look, John. So that's not what I do. I obviously, I'm the. I think from a health and safety practitioner's perspective, it is our duty as well to support the profession. So what I'm really interested in is building capacity within the profession, the safety profession, and to try and change mindsets away from the big stick mentality, that health and safety professionals like to walk around with, towards building professional. To build a culture, rather than supporting the culture to embed health and safety into business practice. I think that's my personal aim and desire. So to answer your question, that's what I'm interested in doing, is to support like-minded people and safety professionals. I'm not providing businesses with advice, no, per se, but for sure. I mean, if people are interested to hear what I can do, case studies and stuff that I can help them with, always keen. And I've been discussing that with you in the past. Yeah. Always keen to help that aspect, for sure. But I'm not a consultant providing health and safety advice to businesses. That's not what I'm doing.
So you're more than happy to sit down and have a cup of coffee with another professional and just chew through the fat with them and say, look, have you ever thought of or considered this particular aspect, which might actually help them in their delivery to their own clients?
For sure, and I think to that point, I think that is so important for business owners to do the same. In their networks, what works for business A and business B, and we're in the same industry, and what works for you, what works for me. So we do that as safety professionals all the time, and I think so. Yesterday, I actually read an article written by, read an article written by Francois Barton from the MBIE, sorry, saying, talking about in COVID-19, how important that had been for businesses to have had a network, because it was so fluid, and this risk of COVID, nobody know how to manage it. But in New Zealand, people were able to very quickly develop protocols that would work for the different business industries. And to going back to your point, that you can't do that if you don't have these coffee catch-ups, with like-minded professionals and so on. Yeah, so absolutely, that for sure, very keen to do that.
Cool. So you're going to give us your mobile phone number? which is
they can reach me on Gmail.
Gmail.
So it's Hein, H-E-I-N.
Yep.
And then my last name, Haveman, H-A-V-E-M-A-N-N @gmail.com.
Okay. And
yeah.
are you going to change your mobile phone number?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So so you're still going to be based in Auckland?
Yes, I will be.
Okay.
Based in Auckland.
So if anybody wants to have a cup of coffee with Heinrich, he's more than happy to go and have a cup of coffee, and it's on, and they're going to have to pay for the coffee, right?
I guess.
Yeah. So we'll just put down the ground rules. So Heinrich, as per normal, it's really, really cool talking to you and getting to gain some value that can, I hope, be of value to people who listen to this particular podcast, and they can think about how they can actually insert that within their own business, but also maybe insert it within their own leadership styles, is to see how they, through changing their leadership style, they can actually change the culture and change the well-being of their people and their business. So thank you very much, and we'll phone and we'll talk and we'll have a cup of coffee on me.
Thank you, John. No, absolutely, and you're right. So I hope it would be, valuable for, for people to have listened to us talking and chatting, and we'll have some meaning for people. Yeah. So thanks for that. Thanks, John. It's good to chat to you as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. Hi. Well, I trust you enjoyed that interview with Mr. Heinrich Haveman, and I know that I certainly got an awful lot from it. One of the main points that came from it to me was, what is actually compliance? Is compliance actually just ticking the boxes? Because safety is more than just ticking boxes. Safety is actually looking after and understanding the full environment. Talking to Heinrich, we also looked at issues such as the process of induction of people within the culture of the business. We looked at communication levels and also the levels of leadership, and what part does leadership have in the role of safety within a business. But we always reflected back onto Heinrich's experience and practice within the paratroop regiment from his time in South Africa. We also looked at what it is about the supply chain and how important it is to have safety through that supply chain process. We also considered how we can actually add value to the business by having a culture based on safety. Whilst Heinrich was talking to me, I also thought about the video that we did with Mr. Keith Robinson, when we looked at the necessity of having safety within the supply chain to make certain that the quality of the product at the end of the day, when it was actually finally delivered to the end customer, was up to standard. I trust that you gained an awful lot of insight from Heinrich's presentation, and we have put below Heinrich's new email, which is Hein, H-E-I-N, @gmail.com. If you want to talk to me at Rite Track New Zealand Limited, contact John at ritetrack.co.nz, or phone me on 09 239 3830, or 027-289-3162. Or you can get me through our website, which is www.ritetrack.co.nz. I look forward to hearing from you, and until next time, I trust that you will have a good week. Oh, and don't forget to register for our newsletter, which is on bit.ly/Rite Track. So it's bit.ly/Rite Track, RITETRACK. Thank you very much, and we'll see you later. Bye.